Alright, everyone, take a seat for The Stand. First written in 1978 in this complete uncut version, and republished in this complete and uncut version in 1990. It's made into a 4-part miniseries in 1994 on national TV. If it were not watered down as much as it had to be for 1994 national TV, this could have easily gone on for maybe 7 seasons, like Orange is the New Black and True Blood do, which really might not be a bad idea, considering how well the second adaptation of It was executed. They really knocked it out of the ballpark and can do just as well with this. And the idea for remakes is, it may or may not be on the drawing board. It depends on which entertainment blog you read. Anyway, on to the miniseries. It opens up, with the opening credits featuring a montage of all the military base workers dead at their desks, seemingly within seconds of the plague's release. Then we are introduced to the various main characters. Fran up in Maine, who is single and pregnant. Stu, who is in Texas. He held the escaped base employee until he died, and he was later on absconded by the CDC. Nick, who is deaf and mute and survived the plague and dangerous people around him. Lloyd, who is too dumb not to get caught up with the wrong crowd and thrown in jail. Glenn, who was, for the most part, just along for the ride with his dog Kojak. Randall Flagg, the demon. Mother Abigail, the angel. Larry, the immature musician turned good guy. Trashy, the pyromaniac nutcase. All their little side stories before they all meet are accurate, but in the miniseries, but trimmed down as much as they need to be to eliminate distractions in the movie. It's the same deal with the secondary characters we see a lot of, like Lucy, the Ratman, Julie, Tom, Dana, Sue, and Ralph, to name a few. In the book, Harold Lauder, the guy that is obsessed with Fran, but she does not return his affection, he's overweight, he's unwashed, and he's equally as much of a obnoxious jackass in the book as he is in the show, except for in the show he is, skinny to a point of looking weak, but at least he cleans up well. Features of how the Captain Trips pandemic takes people out are pretty accurate in both the book and the movie. It's played out, described in the book, after it's gone a few 1,000 miles or 100 miles away from the base and has started to water down a bit, it starts to feel to everyone else like a plain old garden variety cold or flu, which is how it looks in the miniseries. And everyone who has it dies pale, sweaty, with bloodshot eyes and raw noses. Now we are introduced after the plague makes its final sweep to Nadine. But the TV character Nadine is actually an amalgamation of the book Nadine and an entirely literary superflu survivor named Rita, who is a lifelong New Yorker, a rich girl who's never had to do without or struggle or do for herself. She encounters Larry in the now ghost town like New York City, and she has, a brief affair with him while they're traveling together. But her helplessness creates friction between them, and she ends up, dying by her own hand with a bottle of pills. Later on, we see a misadventure of the Trash Can Mans with someone known only in the book as the Kid. This chapter is entirely cut out because it's 1994, national TV, things were different at that time, even if it was only 26 years ago. 25 actually. almost 26. We are looking at almost 2020. Anyway, back to this kid chapter. Anyway, he talks like a perverted jerk, and he gives the trash can man a shotgun colonoscopy. Obviously, that had to go. The introduction between Stu, Glenn, Harold, and Fran to Sue Stern and Dana Jurgens comes with a bad run-in with a group of outlaws, kind of like the Claimers in The Walking Dead. They are violent and they kill to survive. This group has an entanglement with Stu and Glenn and Harold, and they lose, which means that Sue and Dana join with this good survival group. And then on they go to see Mother Abigail as they're all dreaming about her. Also, the uncut version of the book includes a chapter which is not included in the movie, obviously, that just details some other non-flu deaths of random plague survivors, which are mostly accidents that would have been survivable had there still been a civilization. Now, the bomb scenes. The first one, the one planted by Harold and Nadine, exactly the same in the book and the movie. Same, number of victims, people who died, and same injuries to the survivors. Leading to the same chosen trio of free zone spies to Las Vegas. The judge, Dana, and Tom Cullen, the simpleton. The other bomb scene at almost the very end, when Trash Can Man takes off to go find some nukes, exactly the same, where he tows it in completely, almost discombobulated by being around radiation for so long. I mean, it was a really good makeup job. And then it shows like this hand come down from the heavens to detonate the nuke, exactly in the book. Alright, moving right along. After Las Vegas has been nuked. That's something I don't entirely understand, by the way. I get wiping out Randall Flagg the Demon and his closest followers who were evil people, but what about those who were just coincidentally in Las Vegas and trying to rebuild civilization? They were normal people, regular family people, working people, children. They were trying to rebuild school and civilization. Why did they deserve to die? Anyway, it happened, both in the book and the movie. Sometimes it sucks. After all that, anyway, sorry for my soapbox, we find out, Stu is all alone because he broke his leg while on the walk to go stand in front of Randall Flagg at Vegas. He didn't make it. And while he's dealing with a broken leg, he also comes down with the flu after all this time. And while it looks like he's just not going to make it, along comes Tom Cullen, the only surviving spy sent to Vegas, who helps him jumpstart a car, get him to a motel, and as Stu goes through, the worst of the flu, he's so sick, he's delirious and can't even control himself, Tom is taking care of him like a baby. For a man who can't even spell anything past moon, he nurses Stu back to health and keeps him clean and well fed, and even successfully finds the right medication in a dream about Nick. And it's almost a little bit of a tearjerker, this chapter of the book. How he saves him, and then Stu shows his gratitude to Tom by making him a Christmas. Setting up a little tree and giving him gifts. And they sing together, and then they leave to go back to Boulder. In the book, we get back to Boulder, and Fran has had her baby. It's a little boy. She names it after her father. And yes, it does have the flu, but he gets over it. In the miniseries, she has a daughter she names Abigail. And the story closes in the book with the Free Zone continuing to rebuild civilization and heal. And in the movie, closes with a montage of all the characters that were killed along the way and everyone who stood. Now that we've talked about the stand, let's relax. All right, now, hope you all have a very nice turkey day. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.